thought. Yeah, and so at one point I had a thought this morning going, all right, my ears are not big enough to handle a mic, a hearing aid, my glasses, and my mask. And I always thought my ears were a little bit too big, but definitely not big enough for this time of my life. Anyway, so I guess that's why my mic isn't working. So we welcome everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all today. And there's a few reminders before we get started. We are keeping doors open for ventilation. And please remember to keep your mask on over your nose and mouth. And respect other space by staying 6 feet away, unless there's someone that you came in with and you know and you share space with all the time. And once everyone is seated, you may use the aisles closest to you to exit to the restrooms, which are all the way in the back behind the double doors, all the way down the hall. And we thank you, and we hope you enjoy today's service. And so now we're going to go ahead and get ready and start our service. Our affirmation this morning is, I am open to spirit. Let's close our eyes, our outer eyes, and turn within. And say to yourself, I am open to spirit. And as we have that sense of spirit dropping in, we open our hearts. We open our spiritual eyes, our spiritual ears, and we are open to receiving messages. We are open to sending forth that love that bubbles up from within us. And we take a moment and we see the faces and hear the voices of those in our lives, those in the world that we know are struggling. And we send a little bit of love and light out, knowing that our energy is big, our light shines bright, and it encircles the globe. And it joins that net of global energy workers who are sending light and love around this planet 24/7. And we add our energy, our love, our light to that net. And we see healing. We affirm wisdom, divine guidance, and courage moves us forward on our journey, and so it is. Amen. And we welcome you all to Unity of Mesa. It's so good to see seats filled and real people here and smiling faces. I can see your eyes smiling because we've all gotten really good at making our eyes smile, haven't we? Yeah, and I know it's been a long, long time for some of you. So welcome. And at Unity of Mesa, we enlighten, empower, and energize one another to uplift our world through a greater expression of God. I'm Reverend Judy, and this morning we have a host of supporters. We have Julie Trevelyan on platform and doing meditation, and Arlen Richardson is our board member of the day. A musician today is Dennis Hubert. And we're going to start. And this is kind of an upbeat song. And yes, we're not all singing out with glorious voices yet. But you know what? We can stand up and we can move. So you're welcome to do that as we join in with this song.
You guys ready to stand up and move? Yeah. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Out in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine. Out in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine. Out in the dark, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All over the world, all over the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All over the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All over the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ain't gonna make it shine, just gonna let it shine. Ain't gonna make it shine, just gonna let it shine. Ain't gonna make it shine, just gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. We've got the light of freedom, we're gonna let it shine. We've got the light of freedom, we're gonna let it shine. We've got the light of freedom, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, we're gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, we're gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Woo-hoo.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to present the announcements. Do we have slides for the announcements today? If not, I'll just go through them. So first of all, we have several classes and events this month. So check out our Things for You to Know button on our homepage at unityofmesa.org for the latest information and updates. And I'd like to highlight a few now. Each Wednesday evening, you can join Reverends Kathy or Judy virtually and take a deeper dive into Sunday's message. You'll share in special activities and discussion that will support us in trusting the process of change. Reverend Judy is offering Sacred Yoga, a Wednesday morning drop-in yoga class for beginners. This is an in-person class and runs through May 26th. Please register as there is limited space. I have a bit of business information now for those at home and those here seeing the screens. We have our volunteer camera operator to thank for this. If you'd like to volunteer some Sundays to operate the camera, please contact Nancy. That's nancy@unityofmesa.org. And we have a new bookstore and office hours. We are open Wednesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 3. And now Reverend Kathy has an announcement about next Sunday.
I'm going to try this one. Does this one work? Can you hear me? No. Okay. Well, I can take off. I wore it because can you see what I have on it? All kinds of hearts, sending love out to all of our spiritual community who's been on this journey that we've called Creating Tomorrow, a capital campaign. Just wanted to remind you that next Sunday is our anniversary. We'll be entering our 3rd and last year. I wish we could serve food. I wish we could blow horns, but we're going to do a celebration in COVID style. Like Gangnam style. No, just kidding. Some of you will get that. Anyway, if you're new and don't know about Creating Tomorrow, there's pamphlets on your way out to the garden doors and out the front doors. But I'm going to encourage you our colors are greens and blues and like maroons and stuff, to wear a color of our Creating Tomorrow. And you'll get an update and we'll celebrate according to the CDC. So we'll see you next week with celebration.
Oh, my. Okay. So sorry, folks. I was so put together when I got here. All right. And then our technology. I talked to the ghost in the technology booth today and asked him to please depart, but he chose to stay, or she. Anyway, so we thank you all for sharing your love and light with us this morning. Please know that your soul is welcome here. Absolutely. And now let's share a guiding statement to remind us why we come together. And we are here to experience more of the fullness of who we truly are in order to transform the world. Gosh, you guys know it, don't you? Woo! Good for you. So let's now prepare ourselves for meditation. We welcome Julie up.
There's a mindfulness meditation practice that involves doorways, and it goes like this. Each time we go through a doorway, whether at home from one room to another, or from outside to inside, or vice versa, wherever we happen to be, we pause briefly and bring our awareness back to ourselves, to quiet the many thoughts that seem to swirl around in our heads, and to just be present in the moment. Why doorways? Why not something else in our environment? Perhaps it's because we go through doorways many times during a day, and so that would mean many opportunities to practice. Perhaps it's because doorways are places of transition. The room we are about to enter is different to the one we are leaving, maybe with different people to care for or different tasks to perform. By remembering to become quiet, even if just for a moment, the awareness of our connection to our higher selves, the Christ within us, is strengthened. By continuing to do this as we come across everyday transitions, such as going from one room to another, we're also building up the spiritual muscle needed to gracefully meet life's inevitable challenges. So I invite you to think of a change or a transition that you may be experiencing in your life at present as you listen to this affirmation from the Daily Word. Change is a transition from one thing, one place, one state of mind to another. I am evolving from what was to what is. I am becoming more than what I was before. And I now see that I am gaining new perspective during this transition. I may be stepping into unfamiliar territory, but this step is an opportunity to grow in spiritual awareness. With each shift or change in my life, I am moving forward. Let's now prepare for our time of silent meditation by settling into a comfortable posture, relaxed, with eyes closed or softly gazing downward, and allowing our breathing to become very steady and even. If you wish, take the affirmation with you into your meditation now. I move forward with change. I move forward with change. Let's now bring our awareness back to this time and space by opening our eyes when we're ready, moving our toes or hands or shoulders, and becoming aware of the here and now again. We close this time in the silence with trust in the presence and the unfolding of the divine in our lives. Amen, and so it is.
In the ever-shifting waters of the river of this life, I was swimming, seeking comfort. I was wrestling with the tide. A boulder I could cling to, a stone to hold me fast, where I'd let the fretful waters of this river around me pass. And so I found an anchor, a blessed resting place, trusty rock I called my Savior. There I would be safe from the river and its dangers, or claim the rock divine. And I prayed to it protect me, and the rock replied, God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild and raging rapid, a slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. Still I clung to my rock tightly, with conviction in my heart, never looking at the stream to keep my mind from thoughts of harm. But the river kept on coming, kept on tugging at my legs, till at last my fingers faltered and I was swept away. So I'm going with the flow now, these relentless twists and bends, acclimating to the motion and a sense of being led. The river's like my body now, it carries me along through the ever-changing seas, by the rocks that sing this song. God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild and raging rapid, a slow and steady flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. God is the river swimmer, so let go. Let go.
Thank you. So it's one of my favorite songs. The river rat in me loves it and thinks of it frequently. So we're continuing to look at trusting the process of change. And I can't think of a time in my life where it felt like there were so many changes. I would say the past 2 years. My guess is most of you can probably say the same thing. And it's not just changes in my personal life or the life of the community I live or even this country. It's been changes around the world. And they have been big changes, intense changes that are coming forth. Chaos. Would think it would be hard to stay in the same place you were 2 years ago after these past 2 years. So maybe not, but the question is today, what do we do with these changes that we've been experiencing? And how do we take these life changes and use them for spiritual awakening opportunities? Transition may be uncomfortable, yet it's always meaningful. It's an opportunity for a breakthrough to a new life. It has potential to become a new way of experiencing life, and it has the potential of allowing us to experience life in a different way. So let's splash around in that river today and see what we come up with. We're continuing to use the book Finding Yourself in Transition by Robert Brummett, and we are also playing with the booklet Trusting the Process of Change. So let's see what happens here. Each of us is going through a transition. Each of us who's going through a transition is a potential hero for relieving our old familiar world to venture into unmapped territory, not knowing what fate will befall us. And like the ancient mythological heroes, we will encounter dragons of fear and self-doubt. We will engage in fierce battles within our own soul. And ultimately, we will, if we persist, discover the treasure, the holy grail, the wonderful gift of freedom and power that each transition promises us if we but have the heart to take the journey. So let's begin. So I want everybody to think about, what do you have that will help keep you afloat? I have my trusty life jacket, and whatever you've got, whatever is in your toolbox, your closets, imagine yourself putting it on right now. Just put it on, wiggle it on, and then maybe think, what's in the pockets? What do I have? I have a whistle, because I'm not alone in the world, and I can always whistle for help. I can always call for help when I run out of my own courage, my own strength. When I can't find my wisdom, I can always use my trusty whistle. And let's see, what else do I carry in my other pocket? A rock, in case my body weight won't sink me down. When I was scuba diving, they actually put rocks in my vest to keep me down. So first I carry my rock of trust, my solid rock of trust. I trust myself. I trust the divine within me, and I never go any place without that trust. Even when the AV equipment has a visitor that's playing around with it, I remember I am loved. I have my button of love with me. I remember the wisdom of the caterpillar and what the caterpillar perceives as the end. The butterfly is just the beginning. So what is ending for you and what is beginning? And of course, I always take a prayer with me. This is the prayer for protection in its entirety. And the middle section is what I use the most now in my journey. The mind of God guides me. The life of God flows through me. The laws of God direct me. And the power of God abides within me. And I hold that close to me wherever I am. So what is in your life jacket? What do you wear? What do you carry? What do you hold tight to? Because here we go. Life is a river. I love that song. And I have to say that probably everyone who has rafted the Colorado River, and how many of you have done the long, week and a half long trip with the big waves that just bury like a 22-foot boat under them and that, right? So that phrase, life is a river, has a whole different meaning after crashing through that river. And it probably describes what this year has been like on this planet. It's been like a wild ride down the Colorado River. And if life is a river, where are you? Are you hanging onto the branch on the bank side, just holding on tight so you don't get caught up in it? Did you get swept into the current? And are you looking for that big stone to hold on to? And have you grabbed hold of it? And you know what happens when you grab hold of a big rock in the middle of a current? You just get beat up. It bangs you against it and it just beats you up. And when you're holding onto that stone, which symbolizes your beliefs, your previous teachings, your patterns, your perspectives, your reactions and your responses, you just feel crushed. And what will it take for you to let go of all of that? So you can have an end to it, so you can have a new beginning. What does it take for you to let go so you can have a new experience? What will it take to trust the universe and all of your tools, all of the tools you have in your life preserver, your closet, your inner self, that they will support you? And what type of faith do you have to just be able to let go of whatever you're holding on to, whatever you're holding on tightly to? Whether it's a stone in the middle of the river, the tree branches or trunks on the side of the river where your toes are barely in. What does it take to just let go and become one with the river, become the swimmer in the river? I know some of you are still just holding on with your fingertips in real life. I hear from some of you every once in a while, and I'm just hanging on today. That's all I can do today is hang on. And some of you have taken the plunge. You dove right in. I think I kind of dove right in at this point. And you're just floating the whitewater rapids, having the ride of your life. And my guess is that some of the spiritual teachings are working, and you are experiencing more spiritual awakening in that. And as we talk about spiritual awakening and using the symbolism of the river, I was reminded of a poem by Hildebrand. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountain. The long winding road crosses forests and villages, and in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean because the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. And when we look at spiritual awakening, we blend that separation of the river, which is us, and the ocean, the symbol for God, and we blend it. We bring it into oneness, and we know without any doubt that we are the spirit, the voice, the hands, and the expression of God on earth, and all its grace and beauty, and its love, its compassion, its hope, and its joy. We are wholly whole. We are divine. We are perfect. And we experience fear, don't we? Anybody ever have any fear anymore? Some, at least some of you, right? Yeah, so what is fear? You know, that acronym, we've heard it's face everything and recover. Face everything and rise or run or release. feeling excited and ready. I love that one. Performers always talk about that little nudge of fear, and that's really just feeling excited and ready. It's false evidence or false experiences appearing real, false expectations about reality, future events appearing real. Forget everything and run. My favorite, forget it all and just run. Or maybe forget everything and just relax into it. Forget everything and remember the journey you've taken. And you can't go back there. Forgetting everything is all right, and forgetting everything about reality. For everything, a reason. What is the reason for these past 2 years? Failure, expected and received. Energy follows thought. My thought this morning was I got too much in my ears. The energy followed it and made sure I didn't need to use my headset, right? Future events already ruined. Finding excuses and reasons in a frantic effort to avoid reality. Is that one? Yeah, okay. So think about which one of those do you fall into the most? Which one popped up for you? Which one catches you? Awareness gives you the chance to make a choice and not just be swept away by the current. But it feels like we've been swept up by a raging river that caught all of us this past year and a half. It took us on this journey downstream as we continue to look for a stone to hold on to. Maybe some of us have grabbed it and are still there getting beat up by it. And maybe some have washed to the edge and holding on tight with their fingertips to an anchor on the river's edge. And maybe some are saying, all right, I've got this, and move right into that kayak position in the middle of the river. A kayaker position is when you flip over and you're going down the rapids, you float over on your back, you put your feet heading downstream, you bend your knees slightly and flex your feet so that when you come up against a rock, your feet can push you off of it and you don't crash and smash your head, and your hands are back kind of protecting your head, and you're looking up at the universe saying, I've got it, and enjoy the ride. So it's that kayaker's position. So I trust that I have the answers within me. I trust that fear for me is my brain's way of keeping me safe, and that is what my brain's supposed to do, but I don't have to believe everything my brain tells me. And in real life, we don't usually get thrust into a real river with wild rapids, but we do get thrust into life situations we know that we weren't expecting. And how do we ride those rapids? I trust that I will know. I am guided by divine guidance that operates within. And I know that I will know that I will know. And I trust that position in the river. Maybe we let go. We recognize our fear for what it is. And we believe that our brain can give us accurate information. And we can recognize what fear is and recognize it for fear and use it to support us, not to take us out. And we know that when we know we are divinely guided. And we have a communion practice in which we take time every day to make those connections so that the energy has clear pathways in which to move through. And we don't have to listen to our monkey mind. The most dangerous part of the river is the white water. If you've been on it, you know it, but it is fun, it is exciting, it is just this unique experience where you are just shot through a section of the river. And times of transition are like being in white water. It feels dangerous, it may feel chaotic, but it can be exciting also if you're not holding on too tight. And we move rapidly through it. And it's during those times that are dangerous and difficult that we end up in a rapid progression of our own spiritual awakening. Jean Houston wrote, in times of suffering, when you feel abandoned, perhaps even annihilated, there is occurring at levels deeper than your pain, the entry of the sacred, the possibility of redemption. Wounding opens the doors of our sensibility to a larger reality, which is blocked to our habituated and conditioned point of view. Pathos, our suffering, gives us eyes and ears to see and hear what our normal eyes and ears cannot see. I think it's safe to say that during the past week, the suffering of George Floyd, seen on video again, gave us eyes and ears to see and hear what our normal eyes and ears had not been able to see for maybe decades. Let me say that again, had maybe not been able to see or hear for decades, right? The jury decision created an energy of hope around the world, hope for humanity, which seemed to just crash with the following announcement of the shooting of a Black teenage female who had reportedly called police for help. And I know we don't know the whole story yet, but it energetically just crashed all of the energy around George Floyd's conviction. And so it brought us back to reality quickly, right? The struggle is real and change is needed. What are each of you holding on to that can be let go of to step into the change that we need in our world? What are you holding on to that you can let go of and support others, fellow congregants, fellow neighbors, to support and create a world that works for all? And what do we need to let go of in order to move forward? In our book, Robert Brummett talks about the transitions common to all of life, birth and death, and so many more in between, some of which we choose, others are thrust upon us. And he describes 3 stages of change that we'll be working with moving forward. We'll be looking at the first stage, which is the beginning, but is actually the ending. Change means we have to let go of the old before we can embrace the new. The second stage is the void. I love the void. It is the feeling of emptiness and wandering the wilderness. The third stage is new beginnings. This process is not necessarily linear or clearly defined, and the stages can overlap, and they seem to reappear. You know, have you ever had that, oh, come on, I've had that lesson already. I don't need to do it again. Ever had that experience where it just seems like it comes back and comes back? And it comes back for you to be able to work it at a deeper spiritual level. Okay, it's there. And it came back because you did learn something the last time, and you get to go deeper with it. And these 3 stages actually parallel an ancient ritual in most cultures. The Rite of Passage. How many of you have heard of the Rite of Passage? Most cultures, indigenous cultures especially, they have a Rite of Passage into adulthood. I know that the local indigenous people do Vision Quest. As a teen moving into adulthood, you go out, you fast for days, and then you go out and they're taken out into the middle of no place, and you're left alone for like 2 or 3 days, I believe. And you're left there to face all of your fears. And you believe you're totally alone, and you find that you're not. And so what are some of the rites of passage that you've gone through? And we know that the initiate in a rite of passage always undergoes a symbolic death and rebirth and emerges as a hero. And how many times in your life have you emerged as the hero? I know each and every one of you has. Heroes are people who are willing to be present and have a willingness to put themselves out there in service to others. And we have seen example after example of this during the previous 1.5 years. We honor all those who have served us during these times, the frontline workers, those who at the beginning of the pandemic who went to work and were considered essential workers and went out there facing the invisible enemy, so to speak, and many who lost their lives in the effort to keep every one of us safe. And we honor all of those who served during those times. And we know when we step into change, something will start to happen. and that frequently it's not going to feel good. And at times during the journey, we frequently feel crushed, pressed, and pressured, and in the darkness of life. And Lala Delia says, grapes must be crushed to make wine. Diamonds farm under pressure. Olives are pressed to release oil. Seeds grow in darkness. Whenever you feel crushed, under pressure, pressed, or in darkness, you are in a powerful, powerful place of transformation. So in closing, if you would like to do more work with this concept of fear, then I invite you to register and join us on Wednesday evening as we dive deeper into fear with some concrete tools to tame it. Those tools came from the Awakened School. And that's what we'll be using on Wednesday night. So remember, each of us is going through a transition. Each of us who is going through a transition is a potential hero. For we are leaving our old familiar world to venture into unmapped territory, not knowing what fate befalls us. Like the ancient mythological heroes, we will encounter dragons of fear and self-doubt. We will engage fierce battles within our soul, and ultimately, we will, if we persist, discover the treasure, the Holy Grail, the wonderful gift of freedom and power that each transition promises us if we but have the heart to take journey. I invite you to find that heart. Thank you very much. Hey, Arn, can you wait a minute? Oh, no, never mind, go.
Does this work? Can you hear me? Cool. So I'm Arn Richardson, and I'm on your board of trustees, and I absolutely adore it and love it, and thank you. Judy, thank you for service. I really enjoyed that a lot, and I'm looking forward to watching it later on and listening to it again. It reminds me that here at Unity of Mesa, we are the change agents of the world, and through our prayers, affirmations, shining our light, and giving from abundance, we as a spiritual community who are committed to self-discovery and spiritual growth support the work of the greater good as we enlighten, empower, and energize one another to uplift our world through a greater expression of God. I really love that saying. There's many ways for us to support this spiritual community while we meet online and in person. Indirectly, we can get books through the bookstore and through our website links. By adding Unity Church of the East Valley as our favorite charity on Smile Amazon and Fry's Rewards. Giving directly by sending a check or going online using the Give Plus app. And all of that information and more can be found on our website, unityofmesa.org. And if you're seeing this later on YouTube, just click in the link description below. When I was thinking of what I was going to say today, I thought I'd go a little off script because this is what I feel when I'm with you. I'm ecstatic to be up here and to see all of you out there and have our community coming back together. This community of people is so diverse. We're a collection of unique, amazing people. And I imagine there are people in this congregation with whom I would adamantly believe differently than they do. And that's okay. We're free to believe as we believe. We are a group of individuals who celebrate diversity, inclusivity, and unconditional positive regard for all. So I want to stop before I gush for too long. And I'll end this with the gratitude to be in service to this church community. And please join me as we say our offering affirmation. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Blessings are the givers and the gifts.
Yes, we're in unsteady time. Things are changing daily. People acting crazy. Folks are losing their minds. Like the world is spinning sideways. And we're all beside us someday. But I won't be losing mine. I used to, I'll admit it. And now I've got a secret, and I'll share it. I go to my soul when I need some healing. I go to my soul when I have a question. I go to my soul when I need some comfort. I go to my soul when I need direction. When I need to know what's best for me. When I'm searching for my destiny. When I need to know who I'm whole. I go to my soul. So now when I'm insecure, I remember what's inside me. I don't let the darkness hide me. I'm much more self-assured. And every day I'm growing. I have this peaceful knowing as I'm going. I go to my soul when I need some healing. I go to my soul when I have a question. I go to my soul when I need some comfort. I go to my soul when I need direction. When I need to know what's best for me. When I'm searching for my destiny. When I need to know who I'm whole. I go to my soul. Now I'm not ever lost at sea. I have it always here with me. A light that shines for all to see, to guide me on my lifelong journey. I go to my soul when I need some healing. I go to my soul when I need some comfort. I go to my soul when I need direction. Go to my soul when I need a moment. I go to my soul when I need some connection. Go to my soul when I find the freedom. Go to my soul when I set intention. When I go to my soul when I need direction. When I need to know what's best for me. When I'm searching for my destiny. When I need to know who I'm whole. I go to my soul.
So now, if we can, first of all, remember there's no hospitality in the garden, but we will still have virtual fellowship for those at home or those of you who want to run home and join us online. And chaplains are available for one-on-one prayer. And I know Jim's here. Anyone else is serving as chaplain? If you could stand up so they can find you. Yeah, so we got Jim and John. And they're going to meet you out in the garden. It's beautiful out there. And you can spread out and you can have confidential prayer if you would like. Or if there's and it's not just for things you need. It may be to celebrate good news. All right, we would love to share that with you. And that's it. So let's stand up for our prayer of protection. So together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And we have one more quickie from Arn.
Okay, so thank you. This is just a reminder that there's offering and prayer slip buckets are at all the exits. And if you're in the outer sections, please go out on the outer sides. And if you're in the middle sections, please exit to either side of you. Watch